Okay.
Excellent. All right. My name is Chen. I'm the CEO for Geoteaming, and you've joined us for a session of virtual team building. It's March 20th, and I'm excited that each of you are on here already today. I'm talking to Detroit, Ireland, and Redmond, Washington. You know, I got posted on this website, and man, I've had people as far as New Zealand and Australia, and my favorite, Georgia, the country. Georgia, the country. In fact, I was talking to my financial team this morning, and I said Georgia, and the lead financial person started having a fit because she's from Georgia, and she goes, "My country's calling in." And so we were just talking about national pride with Alicia from Ireland, and so yeah, it's really this has been. I know it's challenging times, but this is right now the bright spot and the fun part of my job is that I'm getting a chance to really meet people on a personal basis from around the world. And I think that's the one aspect that you can do in virtual team building. So yeah, let's move along. I'm just going to highlight just a few facts, but there are a couple other things that we get a chance to do here interactively. And so yeah, these sessions are really out. And in this case, you can see people from Hong Kong and all different kind of businesses. And it's really interesting for me to get a personal view, not the press, but from what's happening in each side of the countries along with that. But with this, you came here for team building. I'm just going to discuss a little bit about the challenges with teams. And so, you know, these challenges are not new, but they can be different when you get online with teams. And so let's go through those challenges. The first challenge, of course, is communication, right? Already, companies before this the research was from last year too, when the normal was around, only 5.9% of companies communicate their goals daily. 5.9. You know, if you're a company or you're a company owner or a manager in a company, you could be the top 94% if every day at the beginning of the day you send an email and saying, here are the goals that we're working on. That will just put you in there. And I look for these types of things that really can put you in the top of your field. A lot of the team building that I do, there are techniques and things that I've seen. All they have to do is do one or two things as a company or as a team, and it'll put them in the top 20% of all the teams that I've ever seen. That's amazing that these patterns are so predictable. That's why I'm so glad that you're here because awareness is like 9/10 the battle, and then if you can act on it, that's the last tenth for me. The next issue is around collaboration. Again, we have Elisa from Ireland on here. I'll state the fact and share a great story that's related. 39% of surveyed employees believe that the people in their own organization don't collaborate enough. Alicia is actually from Ireland, and I got a chance to, let's see if I can actually bring this website on, to meet the woman who owns this. She is from Ireland. This is called the Sexton. For those of you who are having happy hours, look for this. It turns out this is like the #1 Irish whiskey last year, and I got to meet the owner of it, and she talked about collaboration, and she said that Jameson and Bushmills are both collaborating with her, lending her distilling space and cast space and other things. And I said, why would they do that? And they really came back with this pride and just saying, you know, we don't care where the best Irish whiskey comes from, or where the best whiskey comes from. We just care that it comes from Ireland. And so that's why they were willing to help her out. This is a product that I have used. I like to tell people about it. I'm not paid, and just because I like it, and I also like supporting women-owned distillers and women-owned companies. So, collaboration. You know that's amazing right now too. People are more open to collaboration than ever. That's what I'm also seeing. A lot of my friends where we didn't have time to collaborate, we're all taking care of our own business. Now, if you suddenly have the time, people are really interested. So this is a unique piece that you can look as an advantage, is where people are now more open than ever to collaborate. The next piece is an alignment. 97% of employees and executives believe a lack of alignment within teams and their company goals. That lack of alignment impacts the outcome of a task or a project. That's really, really key. And in this online aspect, you can really see it is so easy to mistake that you have alignment when you don't have it. All right. And so I think that is a key part in here. And some of the things that I'll talk about how to get that alignment with your online teams. Okay. So, and of course, the #1 challenge with teams right now is, oh, we're all mandated to work from home, whether you want to or not. Most of us are legally bound now to work from home, or have been told by our companies. Just here in Seattle, Seattle Genetics already extended their work from home to April 24th. Look what day it is. It's March 20th. 30 plus more days of work from home. So the fact, again, you're here tells me you're trying to maximize this opportunity or look for something inside of here. And I'll be curious to hear any other stories that you have of working from home, whether they're good or not. But those are the key challenges in here. So my solution, kind of my internal response initially to this happened, and more every day it's a little bit like this. I've already had, personally, my company has had 10 delayed or postponed programs. A lot of the work we used to do prior to this was face to face, but now we get this. And so the acronym is GRR, GRRR, GRR. So what does that stand for? The first one is goals. I think it's so important for you working with your teams. You have to make sure you're defining and aligning your goal. It's so important to reiterate. It might be changing daily, minutely, hourly, and that gives it even more important to make sure that your team is focused on the same goal that you are. The next one is R. This is rules. Online, you really need to create some new rules. We're so used to meeting face to face. We mostly know the rules, right, for meeting face to face, but meeting virtually is slightly different. And so I believe that you need to establish some new rules, and that can actually help your teams perform online. The next one is what I call rhythm. This one's so important, right? Teams need to develop a new rhythm online. And what I like to say is that people can actually become leaders in this piece. Hold on one second.
If you want to pull that.
Mhm. Hi, Kim. I'm glad you could join us. We'll see if Kim comes on. I'll unmute her in just a second. Okay, great. So it is so important, as you can see, right? Your rhythms can easily be distracted online, all right? If you've been on webinars or other pieces, you can start looking at your email. If you're like me, I actually have 3 screens in here. So there's lots of things, plus your phone, plus your iPad. There are lots of distractions you can have. And what I'm trying to get to is that you need to establish a rhythm with your team to really get the most out of that team. And it's something to be aware of. Okay, let's see. So last of all is look for signs of results, right? When your teamwork is working, you know you're going to get results, and you need to look for the earliest signs of it now, especially now that everything has been disrupted. You know, I'm a huge car fan. Last year, I became the owner of a Porsche Boxster, and I love watching the F1 videos on Netflix. And look, this is what happens when a team. Look how many people are here, 20 plus people. When all these people are aligned, right? They know what the rules are, right? They have the same goal. They're able to achieve this, which is a team that's able to change all 4 tires, gas up a car, and do many other things, all in under 2 seconds. So that's what I'm looking for you, is looking for results. And I look forward to sharing some results of things that are happening in Seattle, people who are adapting. I think the thing that I've been saying the most is like the companies and organizations that make it through this challenge or crisis the best are those who can adapt the fastest. Michael is just talking about moving his whole piece online, and it's really key. And so that's I'll be curious to see what kind of adapting he is doing. Okay. So I'm going to assume that our goal for being here is to host a productive team meeting and establish some best team practices online. And you can see these are really kind of varied. And, you know, now that people are really kind of getting virtual team, you'll see that this is kind of what I'm showing today is the best for a team meeting, probably anywhere from 4 to, 12, maybe 20 people. It's different than when you're presenting to 3,000, I believe, because you're really just presenting at that piece. But some of the similar principles can really be used. But this is what one of my specialties in this. So the first piece I'm going to teach you is called Go Ahead Caller. So I used to be a radio fanatic, and I used to love like when you called in, right? And I'd say, hey, this is John from Detroit calling in. And I would be able, if I was a DJ, I'd be like, go ahead, John. So I call this Go Ahead Caller. And so really what the key here is to establish this first set of rules. So in our rules of engagement, one of the first things I do and I teach people online is establish a speaking rule. So as you can see, you guys have already, some of you are kindly done this, which is mute usually when you have a main speaker. But as we collaborate as a group, right? If you're visual, you can raise your hand because I can see you. If you're not visual, like Kim is right now, you'll have to chat or unmute so that I know that you would like to go. Yesterday, somebody also found the raise hand feature. So if you open the participants bar, you can actually raise your hand inside of there, and I can actually see that. So acknowledge that. So what I do is I acknowledge you and then establish an order. So what we're going to do is I have each person introduce yourself. So your name, where you're calling from, and something that's happening in your area. Something that's happening in your area. So again, your name, where you're from, and something that's happening in your area. Kim, so sorry, new normals. That's okay. All right. So who would like to go first? let's go with Tiffany, and remember to unmute.
My name is Tiffany from Detroit, Michigan. Something that's happening in our area is that schools are trying to figure out how to make up for this instructional or non-instructional time, since most brick and mortars have turned into glorified online schools. So
Excellent. Thank you, Tiffany. And yeah, I work with a lot. One of my programs is with a middle school with a Disney award-winning teacher, and she's showing me their online system. So if you need a reference for that later, I can help you with that.
thank
Excellent.
you.
Who would like to go next?
Well, go ahead.
We'll let Alicia and then Michael go because I saw you both go.
I am Alessia. I am based in Ireland, in Dublin, which is a city that runs around corporate and corporate employees, which at the moment are, I believe, whole at home. And we would like to find a way of engaging with them.
Excellent. Looking to find ways to engage. So, and I asked Alicia, did I say that right? Did I get it?
Yep.
Yes. Alicia was just telling me, I was asking her about the St. Patrick's parades in Ireland, and she said they didn't have them, and she was happy to
Yeah.
not see them, which is sad but true. So thank you for that. All right, let's see, Michael.
Yep. So I'm Mike Durgan. I'm in Redmond, Washington, which is just outside of Seattle. And other than being locked down for a little while, although it's not official, we're from our business standpoint, we're trying to figure out really how to pivot the business right now because it's about face-to-face interaction. So we've come up with we've been spending a lot of time on Zoom and with other people just trying to get this through to the end.
Michael, can I ask you what tool you're going to base your 3000 on? You don't mind me asking?
Zoom. I mean, we're looking at other options, but right now, short term, it looks like Zoom, and then we're looking at a couple of different options as well. But our biggest issue is kind of what you're facing right now, is how do we get out of 3,000 people, how do we do a video conference with 3,000 people where they could raise their hand or interact, or so that we don't get conference call-itis?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. We may not get to all of them today, but yeah, even these yes, no buttons can give you a good read on what's going on. Actually, I have to look at it. If they give, some of them give statistics so you can see percentage wise, and that can really help get a gauge, engage your audience without having people voice over like we're doing here. But that's great. Thank you so much for that, Michael. And let's see, Kim, let's see, do you have? Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so sorry about that, guys.
You're okay.
I'm in San Francisco, and I will kind of reiterate the homeschooling thing. I don't work from home. I go into an office, and so I am home with 2 boys, and my husband is home as well. So we are really trying to figure out how to do this day in and day out. And from a business standpoint, I think to Michael's point, trying to figure out how to pivot and how we're going to do business. I work for a third party, and so we have a lot of free time on our hands right now, and business that we thought we were going to hold on to, we're starting to see that wanting to push into 2021. So we're trying to figure it out.
Do you mind asking what kind of business you're in?
Third party meeting and event planning. So
oh, you're event professional.
Yes,
yeah.
sir. So it's tough, but we're figuring it out. And I know we're on Zoom. Michael, I'll just tell you, I did a demo today on Big Marker. I don't know if you've heard of them, but their demo is pretty interesting from a online events standpoint and conference calling standpoint. So another vendor to look into.
Can you
hear
spell
big?
that, please?
Oh, I think I got it.
Sure. Big, BIG, marker, like big magic marker. So Big Marker.
Thanks for that.
There you go. You can see it on the call.
Check it out. Yeah.
Meeting professionals now should be your friends, especially those experienced in going online. And all of you are invited, although I know it'd be tough from Ireland. But at 5 o'clock, I host an event professional happy hour. And this right now, I know people have been looking forward to these calls like it's the bright spot that they need in their schedule. And so people, there's just only, unlike this call where there's a lot of stuff that I do, there's only one rule, which is you have to show up with a drink, right? And there's actually all these other rules that we have actually go out the window, and it's meant to do that. And so people have actually found it as a refuge. If you want the model, I invite you to see it, and if it calls to organize one, because it really allows people a safer place to share, and keeps people like us, who want connection, to have connections like this. And again, it's being seen as value from the people attending it. They tell me afterwards, and they say, this is my safe place. This is my sanctuary. So yeah, please, I'll send an invite. Here, actually, I think I can give you an invite that'll be in the chat window. Goes to a Facebook page. It actually is the same login as this, so very easy. Hold on, I have to get my chat window. Where did my chat window disappear? This is the fun part too about navigating online, is making sure that you can know where your extra windows are. So it's something you got to really keep practice. Okay, so we got a chance to introduce everyone. Thank you again for Kim for logging in. And again, I have a lot of family in the Bay Area, and you guys were the first on lockdown, so I guess congratulations. Okay, moving on. So let's go ahead, caller. So now the next part here, I'd really like to introduce to people, especially in medium to large size calls, Michael, is the Backchannel Chat. So I introduce the chat, right, as a vehicle, show people the chat window, encourage them to use it when others are speaking. So this can help people who are either extroverts or like to think out loud. They can actually collaborate, and you can do it without interrupting the speaker. It really is a good place for creativity and engagement too. A lot of times, if you just use the video aspect, you gotta wait, right? And I just don't like to wait. And so start using the chat window in other people's calls. Even if they don't establish the chat window, I will start chatting there to see who is paying attention to it. And a lot of times I create side conversations. A lot of times I actually, like I'm networking, I'll actually find the people who I like and want to meet afterwards by the stuff that they share with me in the chat window. So the back channel chat, right? We're going to take an example of that now. So I want each of you to chat either your LinkedIn profile or your business, right? And if you don't have either one of those, you can just chat something so I know your chat window is working. So for instance, I'm putting mine in now. Here. Yep, Michael has the Seattle Study Club. And there's my LinkedIn profile. Tiffany, the Dining Click. I love that name. I want Tiffany to run all my marketing now.
Thank you.
Tiffany, I'm a big foodie. That's why I really care. And I'm also working with an organization called Urban Impact, and we're coaching 12 inner city entrepreneurs here in Seattle. 4 of them have restaurants. One of them is Angel City Soul Food. I hope you get the time to come out. Maybe we'll just have to send you, ship you some food.
Right. I host interactive dinner parties, so maybe I can tour out there and host one for you all.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you connect to my Facebook later on, you can see all the food that I'm cooking. Last night was ribeye and barbecue roasted potatoes. Okay.
Ooh, yes. Yes.
I got Elisa, and then Michael already put his in. Okay, great. So good. Now we have everyone in the chat window. So we know the chat window works, and that you guys can now use that as a back channel while I am presenting. So that's the back channel chat. Okay, so now to use the chat window, I'm going to give you a team building initiative here. So the team building initiative here is that your job is to chat A to Z, one letter at a time, right? You can only do one letter. You can't say A, B, C, D, D, and then try and hit enter. All right. You can't chat twice. So if Tiffany chats, then Tiffany can't chat again. She's got to wait for Michael, Alicia, or Kim, right? And I won't be chatting. If you got to restart, if you missed a letter or you repeated a letter, if you missed a letter or a repeated letter. So if it goes AA or you go A, C, D, then you got to restart. Now, while you're chatting from A to Z, you can't talk, but if you missed a letter, right, or repeated a letter, you can talk until someone chats A again to start. First, while you can have your mics off, does anybody have any questions before we start?
Yes. Are we, the way that people are across the screen, is it the same way? So I see myself, you, Alicia, Michael, and Kim. Does everybody see each other in the same way?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Can we strategize real quick?
Sure.
You all want to do like alphabetical order by our first names?
I like it.
Okay. So I'm last. Okay.
I guess I will start. Will I start just with a word? Sorry, maybe it's not that clear for me.
You start with an A. We're doing an alphabet, right? So you start with A, then Kim B, Michael C, then I'm D, and then it goes back to you E,
Okay.
and so forth. Okay.
About anything? Like,
No, you have to chat. You have to type A in the chat. We have to go in alphabet. We have to do the alphabet one by one.
I'll remind you, Alicia, that this is the assignment. Chat A to Z, one letter at a time in the chat window. Does that make sense?
okay, yeah, just the letter.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, Alicia has started, so again, no talking. Oh, you'll have to restart.
Oh.
Bravo. Bravo. Wow. Okay, cool. I got some stats on here for that. All right. You can unmute now. Thank you so much for that. The first piece I want to get is, what was happening for you on your side? What were you experiencing while this team building initiative was going on?
Anxiety. I forgot my ABCs. I was counting like, okay.
My other friends were running a Thriving in Chaos webinar, and the anxiety is the #1 thing people are feeling right now in the real world. Anxieties. So that's interesting that you shared that. Thank you, Tiffany. What else? What were other people experiencing?
Just anticipating what was going to happen.
Michael, I think you're an operations guy, aren't you?
Nope.
Really? What is your usual job title?
CEO.
Oh, I should have known that. I know that, Michael. But yeah. So Are you a systems-minded person?
I'm a commercial-minded person with a systematic approach to it.
I want you to say more because now I'm just interested. Can you kind of like describe that just a little bit further, if you don't mind?
Sure. So I'm a very commercial person. I look at everything and say, how do we go to the end user with this, and what's the story about it? But
Yeah,
I
that's
also
it.
have to have a process associated with how it's going to be executed or implemented.
So it's a little bit, you're always looking ahead, right? A little bit.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, okay. See that? So that's what he was trying to anticipate because he just wants to know too, what's my letter, right? I don't want to screw up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely.
Okay, great. Uh, Kim, since you're on mute, I'll help you out.
I was trying not
Uh-oh.
to get distracted. I'm going to be totally honest. I had my cell phone rang, and one of my kids came up from the basement. I was like, oh gosh, and forgetting the ABCs.
Okay, Kim, you think it was bad? Remind you, my friend from Georgia, the country, goes before this started, goes, holy crap! I got to go back online and make sure I know the American alphabet. No, but Kim, this is real. And you know, the challenge, I'll tell you, for us, especially is because your camera is not on, we couldn't see any of those things. So we could not tell whether or not you were checked in, checked out, or having distractions. And so I will tell you as one of the tips, right? If possible, to try and get your teams to get their cameras on. Now, Kim, you can leave yours off for whatever reason you like, but I'm just saying it's a big encouragement because I can tell you, you become at an advantage. Things that you can't, well, Kim can probably see us. I believe we just can't see her, so she can see our body language. You can see things like we're leaning in, right? You can go like, actually, I could see on the camera that Alicia was confused, right? And so,
Yeah.
and Tiffany picked that up and was able to help her out. And so those are really the key things. But thank you so much for that, Kim. You are right in those distractions are real and possible, and they affect our online team building. Alicia, do you have any other comments that you like to share?
No, it was exactly the same. Like being like mother tongue Italian. Like my set of alphabet is different. Like there are some letter or none like included. So that was my biggest fear.
And
But
I
we
think it's
managed.
really important to talk about is like, and I do a lot of work in the diversity and inclusion space. And now people, you got to remember, are having new biases or new experiences, right? New audiences, right? Those of us who have actually done a lot online, now we're actually way ahead of the curve. Some of your teammates, like they got to be brought along. I mean, Michael, I believe some of your dentists are a little bit like that. They are behind the curve. They do their dentistry and their face-to-face really well. And so you got to remember sometimes that you got to help them bring along in the curve. Anybody else want to share anything that they learned from this or anything that they might do different with their teams? Again, you can raise your hand or you can put in the chat window.
Well, like I liked the Tiffany input at the beginning to kind of like go an alphabetic way, like between our names. So that create like a structure.
That's the rhythm that we're talking about, right? And Tiffany, I would now want to ask you, right? You established this rhythm. I'm going to tell you something about it after you share this comment, but why did you do that?
Well, because you were very vague, and when you said that we would have to just kind of start over, it just seemed like it was kind of like going rogue, like to just do it. And I think because my education background, being a teacher and a coach, an administrator, I know I need structure. And I kind of like, to Michael's point, like I'm seeing the end, and it didn't seem like it was going to end well without some structure and some parameters put in place.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Here, now I'm going to share with you, Tiffany. You're the first person out of all these sessions to make a plan before you start.
Oh, thank you. Yay.
So I just want you to take that. Your type of behavior in my courses would put you in the top 20% as a team leader or a team participant.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And I can tell you, it's very easy, right? The usual response. Even people like we have CEOs, we have speakers, we have people who teach this stuff, but they get in a new group or in a new environment, and they don't know everybody. They don't have the trust to say, like, to feel comfortable enough or whatever it is to project that. And I can tell you, it doesn't happen. In fact, one of the systems, which was, I think, the funniest that happened yesterday, people were trying to visually tell them when they were going to chat a letter by doing this. 3 people were also off camera too, so we couldn't tell. Right? But these are the systems that people are creating up, and people recognize that. Yesterday, a woman from UW was just saying, we were on an emergency phone call. We were trying to solve a real problem, and she recognized they had no system. And only halfway through the call, after kind of fumbling around, did somebody get a Google Doc. But then they were all trying to edit the Google Doc at the same time. And it was really, she said she knew this was not effective. It's why she showed up on my course. And so building that rhythm, she really understood, whatever it is for that group, it has to build a rhythm if it wants to be effective, make decisions quickly that everyone agrees upon. Anybody else have any other final observations about this exercise? You now all can be proud too. You hold the record. The initial group was 6 minutes, 54 seconds.
Whoa.
There was a group that was 2 minutes, 45. There was the lead group was 1 minute, 56. You guys completed in 1 minute and 34 seconds. So applause to you. And
Good.
so I hope you recognize 2 parts here, which is, number one is Kim seeing it too. Even though she has distractions, she was more engaged, right? I hope you see that too. Right? These team building activities are important because they can help you in a safe way model what you hope in real meetings. Like if we have a meeting, we want to maximize that time so we can get off and do all our other stuff, right? And so if we can be effective, it requires people to be checked in and to be focused in here. And for you, if you leading these meetings, you need to find a way to do that, right? If you have other meetings and people, you got dogs barking, you got babies going on, and people aren't really paying attention, to me, you're just not really working. You're meeting, but you're not working. And you want to, I think, maximize that time. And I think, again, if you set some of these rules or kind of these rhythms, these are things that can really help you get the most out of your teams who are now having to work online. Yeah, again, I'm just really impressed with this. Is like 1 minute 34, and I just think that that's the example you want to see. One is that that's what these activities are meant for. So for teams to realize or learn something, and then for them to use it in the environment where they create the real work that's paying their bills every day. So I hope that's where you guys got out of that. So that's chatting A to Z. So now that, yeah, I'm just going to continue talking about rhythm, right? So this example here is, if you haven't seen this, is a Japanese drill team that comes around. And when you have rhythm, you can do amazing things. And people need to get used to it. They're having anxiety and they're disoriented by all the changes, including going online. And so your ability to become a leader during this time and establish that rhythm, or work with your leader to establish a rhythm, gives you new opportunities to be seen as leadership. So, some easy things: start and end each meeting the same. Start and end each meeting the same. So that helps give the structure and people, the ability to check in. Like, well, we do sometimes longer check-ins in our previous team meetings. Sometimes we had a really short check-in, which is just say your name, what emotion you're having, and that you would have physically say, I'm checked in. And that doesn't take any time at all, 10 or 15 seconds. So I'd say, like, I'm John Chen, I'm happy, or I'm angry, or I'm sad, and I'm checked in. And so that was something that you can do. So whatever it is around your culture, find something to start and end each meeting. Find a rhythm for sharing and solving information. So this is the middle parts of your meeting when you're getting work done. Find that rhythm between presenting, and also add those different pieces in where you can interact with people or gain their information, polling, or any of those other types of things like that, depend upon the size of the audience. The next piece is bring your culture online. What I mean by that is look for something that you already did in the past, right, that was successful, and if it works, bring it here. Bring it here online, and that really helps people remember that your company or your groups that's meeting it has its own culture, and that that doesn't need to be forgotten when everything changes. In fact, we really need to keep those pieces, but bring it online. And then if you don't have culture that does work, make new culture, right? Yeah, last year I really had the honor of going through Zappos in Las Vegas's tour. And they, to me, they're the king of culture. We got to see their graduation ceremony, and these people had just gone through the 4 weeks of training course, and they bring their coworkers and their family and their kids in the middle of the day, and then they outfit them with like confetti cannons and stuff. And they get announced across the stage like it's an NBA game, like you're being announced by a player. And I don't even know these people, and I kind of started crying, going, I never got that when I started any of my jobs. And so figure out how to make culture. You really got to celebrate these wins, especially with so much other stuff going on. Bring your culture online or make new culture. These are things that will help bring rhythm and bring stability to your organizations. The last piece I'm going to share with you is a secret that you haven't been seeing. So I'm going to bring it online here for you. This is a participation map. As each person logged in, I was able to get your name. As you logged in too, I was able to figure out if I could check in with you, where you're calling from, other pieces of facts around you. Oh, there's more information up here. It allows me to see how you're participating through the event, whether or not you chatted in the window. This is how I remembered that Tiffany spoke first. She made the first suggestion, hey, let's go alphabetical by first name. And so this piece is really important. A lot of people don't see this. I actually developed this 20 years ago. Yes, I'm that old. And I was working with Boeing, and they were moving a first line manager course online. I was running multiple teleconferences every day, and it was the only way I could really keep track of people. This is really important. Again, back to that diversity and inclusion work. So for instance, if Kim did not contribute, right, I would notice this. It would look up on my chart here as, oh, she just stopped contributing at some point, right? So I just got to know, gives me a chance to check in with her saying, what's going on? Are you okay? And if someone is over contributing it, then I can kind of try and make sure and guide other way around it. But this is really one of the key secrets. I'm going to send you an example of this. Also note that you can, like right now, I'm lucky. I actually have 3 major 27-inch screens here in my office. But if you don't have that or don't track well with that, or you're an analog style person, just print out one of these participation charts and fill it in online. You can just do it. You just end up looking down a little bit and writing notes along the way. And it really can just help you inside of those pieces. I'm going to stop share for just a sec. Oh, here you go. Here's the check. John, you are personally typing that as you go? Oh, yes, I am. Yeah, so if you can see, if you go backwards through this site, when I'm looking off here to my left like that, I'm looking at the participation sheet. So I also have the registration list here, so I could see whether or not if you registered, if I have any info on you. That's how I knew that Tiffany's email name was There's Always Room for Extra. And sometimes I'll get company and other information inside of here. So these are all things that you can do to really help create that rhythm. They're also creating connection, right? You're trying to create rapport over this now, much thinner channel than face-to-face. So you really need to use every tool that you have. But a participation map is really one of the keys to do so. Let's see. Oh, and of course my slide deck is on the wrong place. Give me 1 second. This is what I get for bringing new docs on. Oh, I covered up. There we go. So again, this is one of the other things, like I said, you nearly need to train yourself on is how to make sure you know where all your other windows are. Okay, participation map. There we go. So that gets me down to this last piece around results, right? And when you're high-performing teams, when your teams are high-performing, because you're using these different key items, you can really create results, as you guys can see here. You guys created extraordinary results too, by the way. I can't wait to hear the results you guys are going to be creating online. So again, successful online meetings, ability to get work done under really challenging conditions. Helping and leading your companies or your communities or your organizations, man, there's a lot of nonprofit help that really needs help in those ways. Or I know I've talked to a lot of churches that need that help. So it's not just those organizations, other organizations that are helping the communities that are around there, and that you can develop new ways to help. So again, the solution here is really around these 4 items. I'm going to just reiterate. Number 1 was goals. Let's just see how well the retention is on this. So does anybody know what the next R is? Go ahead, Michael. Yep,
Rules.
Michael's got rules. Okay, so somebody that's not Michael, the next R is?
Respect.
Respect? Oh, it's something so important, but not the right one.
Okay.
The rhythm.
Rhythm.
Rhythm, there you go.
Was
And
that
then
Alicia?
results.
Yeah.
There we go. Yes, rhythm and results. Goals, rules, rhythm, and results. So, those are the four pieces around it. I have a more extensive system, but in these times, right, keep it simple, right? Try and get to the key things that you can remember. And that's really what I hope that we get outside of that results. I want to just give you one example. I said the companies that are going to do this best are the ones that adapt the fastest. And I want to give you an example here in Seattle. One is Canlis, is a fine dining restaurant. Basically would be a 3 Michelin star if we had Michelin stars here in Seattle. And they did this. They did this last Thursday. They literally redid their entire business model in what I feel like was a week. Times are changing, and so are we for now, right? We're shutting down our dining room and bringing the food out to you. Fine dining is not what Seattle needs right now. Instead, this is one idea for safely creating jobs for our employees while serving as many of our city as we can. And so they created a bagel shed. These are all drive-through. This is how you take care of breakfast: bagel spread, breakfast sandwiches, coffee. They have a drive-through burger, veggie milk, canless, salad, and ice cream sandwich. And this is the kicker. This actually started 2 days ago. I'm be curious. I didn't see its results yet. It's online, but you can get a home-cooked dinner and a bottle of wine. That's right. The restrictions have been changed. So restaurants are now allowed to deliver bottles of wine to your doorstep. And we're talking, right, a 4-star restaurant. These are the kind of things that you had. The results that they got from this 2 days ago was they were on the press, they got news, and they had a line around their street. They were delivering meals, and it really just shows, other Seattle entrepreneurs, one closed 12 of his 13 restaurants in one day. But this to me is really a key example. I actually do know the owners, they're members of Entrepreneurs Organization, and it's inspiring to see this kind of adaptation with that. So, this is our session in virtual team building, and I hope that you really got something out of it. If you got value, please see if you can help others, and you can help me by sharing this link. It's a virtualteambuilding.eventbrite.com. If you thought you got some value out of this, we may have a few minutes actually at the end for Q&A, but I like to end with this last one. So again, I told you to end and start and end the meetings the same way. The way we like to end it is with the last word. And so each person, if you don't mind, you can, again, signal me by raising your hand or unmuting and let me know. And I just really want to know what you're getting out of this session, what you got out of this session. So again, if we have a few minutes at the end, we'll have some Q&A at the end. Okay, let's see. Who would like to go first?
Well, I can go first. Yes, honestly, maybe it's not exactly the type of webinar that I was expecting, because I'm like Kim, I think I'm working in the event industry, so I wanted to understand more what type of idea I can propose to our client. But for sure, looking at the inside part, of course, it could give me more insight of what to suggest and what are the keys for our clients that I can discuss and maybe steer some idea from this key point. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks you again for calling from Ireland. And I had to design this, if talking about iterations of this course, I actually had twice as much material and I had to cut it off to make it fit in 60 minutes. So I have one or two things I'd like to share with you if you're interested in being in the early audience. I do team building too. I think I know what you're looking for. I would love to be able to show you an example. So thank you so much. I believe Michael is next.
Yeah, I think for me, so I manage quite a few different people and I've been communicating with them significantly, but I haven't been connecting the entire group together. And that's probably maybe one of the main things I learned is I got to bring the group back together right now.
Wow, Michael, that's big. Thank you so much for that. And there is a way to do that, especially I know the size of your team. I know at least your leaders would really want to communicate and reconnect with their teams and really check in with them all. So thank you for that, Michael. And I appreciate the past work. I'm so glad that you've been a past client with us. I'm going to let Kim go because she figured out where the raise hand button is.
Thank you. I think for me, just seeing other folks on the phone that are trying to do this differently and learn different things. I know that we're all in this together, but to hear people from literally all over the world is really comforting to me. So I thank you for the hour. I do have a question if once Tiffany goes, if you will allow me
I'll come
to
back.
say it. Okay.
I got it. I'll come right back to you, Kim. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Tiffany.
Yeah, this was enlightening, and my wheels are spinning because I want to host like a virtual dinner party, and I've always been a participant of Zoom, but not I've not hosted my own. So I do have questions that, again, how from I don't host really big events, but how to just kind of bring some sunshine in this dark cloud that, is looming over all of us. But because I run structured events, I don't need it to be chaos. And so I'm just interested in learning more tips on how to do some crowd control when it's 50 people, because I do want to have the face connections, but I do want people to leave feeling like they've had a good time and really make some real connections in the way that they do in my in-person events. So.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. I'm going to re-invite you to my happy hour tonight at 5 o'clock. And it's in its third iteration. And what's really happening there, which I believe is something you care about, is that the trust level is going up. People, again, look at it as a key resource. And we stop recording the calls because people are sharing information that's really, they feel safe enough. Of course, they don't want to share that kind of information, but they feel safe enough to share it with the group of people that's convening. And that's evolving, right? For this group to see that, and sometimes it gets as large as 20 or so. But if you want to see me model that, I'm like 99% sure you'll get enough to be able to help your group. So
Okay, good stuff.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany. This, by the way, is the first time I've ended ahead of schedule. So I want to thank you all. If you need to drop out, I totally understand, but I'm going to stay here for Q&A, and I know that Kim has a question. So thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate each of you. Stay safe, be healthy, and I look forward to hearing about your success with virtual teams. All right, let's go back to Kim.
So John, do you have any thoughts or things that have worked to keep people on task when they're speaking in a meeting like this, to keep the content specific, I guess, and on task?
Before I answer, I'm gonna say more. Can you give me an example?
Yes. So we have a small team, and we have a few folks that are have a hard time staying focused on the topic at hand. And what's funny about this a little bit is that within the last 2 weeks, we've really started trying to use video conferencing instead of teleconferencing. Yes. And so I'm finding that it's interesting that they still tend to kind of get off topic, and it's hard to kind of bring them back. And so I'm just wondering, in this new age of video conferencing, if you have any tips for us and how to help manage that a little bit.
That helps out a lot now. This is the phenomenon I would normally call herding intelligent cats. Mm-hmm. Right? And as the facilitator for the meeting, sometimes I, as a facilitator, let some sidebars happen because that's where the creativity is. But they certainly, if they're going past your borders, like usually I have like yellow flags and red flags that go off going, man, we're not even tackling the same issue. I'm going to go back to the same trick that I used at Microsoft. So for those who don't know, I was at Microsoft for 10 years. I helped ship 10 products. One of them sold 200 million client licenses, and I got 2 US patents for that project. So, Tiffany, thank you so much. And so out of that, I really learned how to work with virtual teams. I really learned how to work with technical teams, and technical teams that can go off topic for a long time. The technique I taught is like so old school, but man, at Microsoft, it worked because nobody else was doing it. I took the goal and I wrote it on the whiteboard. So in this case, you're online. You can write it on. You can, I mean, write it on the whiteboard. You can have a slide ready for it. I believe the goal for this meeting is X, right?
Mhm.
And what you need to do is get everyone to agree, whether it's like the yes button. So if you want to see an example to this, you can go to the participant window and click the yes button or the no button. And you kind of get everyone to buy into that goal. And if somebody doesn't buy in, if somebody clicks no, you need to address it, because you might as well not go forward at that point, because if they're not bought into the goal, those are the people who are going to railroad you with their own agenda, right? And then the facilitation technique after that is, because you have buy-in from everybody, is when it gets a little too far off course. uh, so I love Tiffany. I bet she would use some more direct techniques, but I'm going to give you some softer ones because we're here in Seattle. Well, you can ask first off, you can reflash the goal. So you just do that. You go back and reshare your screen and saying, I'm going to use Michael for an example, especially since he's not here. Michael, you know, how does what you're talking about relate to the goal? And then you click share screen and you put it back in his face, right? And you can see how that works. Oh, we just had somebody join it. Hello, may I ask who's joining us?
Hi, this is Laura.
Hi, Laura, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Good. This call was scheduled for noon Pacific Standard Time. I bet you're in a different time zone, aren't you?
Yes, I'm on the eastern side.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Eastern would be 3 o'clock, and I bet it's 4 o'clock now.
It's almost 4, yes.
So what I'm going to do is, if you don't mind, you can log off and you can join in on, I believe the next call, this is Friday. Oh my God, it's Friday.
Yes.
I'll allow, you don't even have to register. Just call into Tuesday call at 12 to 1 if you're available.
Tuesday, 12 to 1. Is it 12 to 1 your time or my time?
Pacific Standard Time.
Pacific, got it. Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for calling in. I'll see you on Tuesday. Okay, bye.
Thanks.
See, this is another, you know, classic thing to happen. Actually, somebody called into my meeting today.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. That's right. Tiffany called into my business meeting.
And it was
right?
me probably around
No,
12.
no, I know it's Tiffany now. I remember Tiffany's name, and now she's like, whoa, right? My bad.
I wasn't fully dressed, so I was blacked out.
Yeah. Smart. Okay, so trying to get back to Kim's point, right? That's so you could put it back in that person's face and saying, how does this, you know, if you ask a question, most of the times they'll self-regulate. And then if you got to get a little more forceful, people who don't get the clue, you're like, that's awesome, right? And it's like, can you also add something that adds back to this goal, right? Or I can table your discussion. I hear what you're saying is important, right? And we can address that in the next call or later in this call. So those are techniques I would probably use and have used in the past, Kim. Does that make sense?
It does. No, thank you for that. It's
Oh.
just kind of a new thing for us, which is, we're loving it, but there are some things that are different.
Yeah.
So that's great.
People aren't used to having like the floor. Like I said, like in a regular meeting, you can have a sidebar conversation, but it's very difficult here. And so if you start talking, you take over the platform, and you're the center of attention at that point. And if you're not staying on track, it's wasting everybody's time. That's the hard part too. Any other questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
So I have a laptop. I have access to 2 iPhones and an iPad. You
Yes.
said that you use different screens. I was thinking I would just use one until you stated this. And with my parties in person, I do lead with a PowerPoint, and then I show video clips and song clips and people discussing all of that. What I wanted to know, I guess, what type of features, if I do choose to operate with one screen, how does that work? Or how would you, with what I have, with the resources that I have, how would you suggest I use them? And then B, like what other, okay, so we have this yes and no thing. Do they have like a poll? I heard there was like a breakout session. So like, yeah, what other ways that I can kind of bring people together so that they can have some conversations without it being chaotic in the main group?
Yeah. You're on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay.
Someone.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the quick tour, right? So on the group chat, you can see, right? If your group doesn't establish it right up front. And that allows people to start chatting away without breaking up the call, right?
Okay.
And I'm just guessing from your friends that the chat's going to be funny. You can save it. Actually, right now, you can go to the chat right now, and some of those resources were valuable. You can click the file button, and you can download it to your computer. right? So
Okay.
like I just did that now. I will also send you a link to it, so I get it down at the end. The best part about Zoom too is like we're recording. It actually makes a video file you can upload to YouTube, and other people can see it later. You can use it as marketing for your future events, right?
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yep. It can record to their cloud, but they only give you a gig of space, which is not a lot. So, or you can record to your computer. I actually record to my computer. It's on a drive, excuse me, that has a OneDrive. So as soon as my file takes, it takes a little time when I shut this thing down, it will take a little bit time to build the file and render it. It will automatically start uploading with no interactions from me. And then I can share it straight direct from there, or I can again take it up. So that's a little side trick using sharing like a OneDrive.
Okay.
The chat, yeah, if you haven't brought up your manage participants window, so that's inside of there. I think Kim already here has checked. You can click any of these buttons, click yes, no. Oh, good. It's giving me numbers too. That's what I was looking for, Michael. If he's got 3,000 people, he can see kind of it and do the math in his head. 2,000 people say yes, 1,000 say no, right? So like
So on your
66%.
end, you can see that.
Yeah. What's up?
On your end, you can see how many people said yes or no.
I'm getting
Then I
numbers.
realize I can actually, so if I wanted to ask a series of questions,
Yes.
they can say yes and then ask them to clear it out and then go back and, okay.
Alicia, this is the part you haven't seen. I was in my earlier program. I had to cut it, but I do something called yes, no, right? So yes, no was also called raising hands, depending upon some of the other pieces around there. But this is what we call the inmates running the asylum. So you can go in your chat window and let all your people chat you yes or no questions. And so you get what they're interested in, right? You know, everybody in this age, right? They just want to be acknowledged somehow. And so this is different ways to do it without breaking up the call. So I could pick out, oh, Tiffany has asked, like, do you home cook, right? And then people say yes or no. Alicia's saying, do you drink Irish whiskey? Yes or no. And so you can do that, but you can involve the group with it. And to me, that's something that's really important, is that if you involve them, they feel less like a spectator now, and they feel like part of the show. Okay, polling. So let's see, we can do a quick poll. This is like a no-brainer, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is a different set of polls. Wait, where are my polls? Coronavirus impacts. Okay. So this is what a poll looks like on Zoom.
So you do the poll, we don't do the poll.
No. You pre-do them, but you can vote on these, so you should vote on these now. So go ahead and click a button, any button. What impacts have you experienced? I've had a social event postponed. I've had a business paid event. I don't see any results yet. I don't know if you guys can click or not.
Yeah, I'm clicking.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. So anyway, so this is cool. You can see stuff in real time. You can end the polling. I think you can share the polling. Oh, good. Okay. So now I'm going to end. This actually has a clock running on it on my side. So it can tell you how long, like, you got to blah, blah, blah for like 30 seconds or so while you wait for the poll results, because people got to find the damn button.
Now
Okay.
you see them on, now you created this poll before the meeting?
Yes.
So do you have to, if you want to ask, okay.
Hey.
You can ask multiple
100%.
poll questions. You can
What's that, say again?
And you can create these and then just pull them up and people will vote.
Yeah. So once you kind of establish a rhythm with them, you can keep them, like, if sometimes you'll go like, oh, that poll was a dud, right? But otherwise you're like, oh man, people really responded to that. So you can really get this and get trends and redo them. And yeah, this is all manageable on the Zoom. You have to go to the website part of Zoom, or I believe, I think it's the website part to do polls. Okay. Okay. So stop sharing results. Yeah, see, like you guys are getting, so parallel shares, and the other piece here, watch, let's see. Okay, so in sharing, oops.
So on your screen, so we don't see the polls, how to create the polls, but you do that in the back office.
Yes. Let me see if I can log a web browser in here. If each of you are still on, thanks for being on. If you want, draw your name and something that represents the city that you're in. So this is something we call where in the world whiteboarding. Right. This really shows people how to collaborate. Let me know if you need permissions to get on the whiteboard.
So it's not letting me do anything.
Oh yeah, here we go. Now go. So I believe you have to ask for control on the mouse. So let me try here. I'm gonna go first. And look, I'm in Seattle. This is my very bad Space Needle. Okay. Why don't Tiffany, you try and gain control of the mouse.
How do I gain control of it?
So look near where the whiteboard is. There's I think a button that says remote control or request control. It's
Not
usually the
sure.
toolbar. It's two or three to the right of sharing. Your toolbar, of course,
Anybody
might
else
look
see
different.
it? I don't see it. View options, maybe? No.
It
Oh,
should
Alicia?
be on the top,
view options is what I see. Okay, so
the
now,
option, yeah.
You got
okay.
it?
Yeah.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
so you could get one person gets control at a time.
I believe that's correct. Here we go.
Okay.
I'm pulling up Zoom on my side. Oh, yeah, you have control of my mouse. Sorry, hold on a second. I'm gonna let you finish.
Oh no, that's fine. I just wanted to play with it.
Okay. Well, let me just use this real quick. I just want to see if I can show you the back end for Zoom. Give me a few more seconds. Poll. Where are my polls? User management, brand management. Oops. Settings. Sorry for this. I got to look on. Oh, I bet it's because I have Zoom running. Oh, I think you have to edit the polls while Zoom is not running. So anyways, I can actually show you where that is. But this gives you an example for a whiteboard. Now, Alicia, you can actually request control. So hopefully you can find the same button and we'll see if that works. Oh, Kim's got, oh, Alicia has control now. Okay, great. So I can actually see who's controlling the screen. So go ahead and draw something. Thank you.
So everyone can't have control at once.
No, but I can auto accept, meaning that once you request control, by default you get it. And there's actually some of the initiatives that I run that way. But if you want simultaneous control, you share your screen with a tool like, say, Google Docs, but you have to log in with your Gmail account. But you can do that. There's ways to do. I've actually have a case study of a friend. They ran a session where 50 people simultaneously wrote a case study in 90 minutes.
Wow.
Wow.
Because you can have on Google Docs, I believe you can have up to 50 simultaneous editors. It was crazy. It was awesome. Kim, you can go ahead and try if you want to try control. I know that I saw your name there.
So do I already have it or do I have to request?
Yeah, I think you have to request because Alicia currently has it.
Yeah, I still have it.
All right, let me do this.
There you go. Go ahead and Kim, draw something. So, what's great about this, like I've actually done, for those of you who are art teachers, know something, it's called an initiative called Broken Squares. You have 4 or 5 squares, but you have all these pieces that are all broken up and they're actually on a PowerPoint slide. And you can actually request control to move things. So it shows people how to use these advanced features like sharing and whiteboard and other stuff and how to switch control, but do it in a useful fashion. Plus learn the team building lessons that go along with it. In this particular initiative, Alicia, right, you can't solve the challenge until you share one of your pieces with somebody else. These are all classic. A lot of the things that I did were ported from classic initiatives that worked somewhere else, but I was one of the first to port them online. And so that's an easy place to look for initiatives. And my book here does have, probably 10 to 15 of them were ports from classic initiative things, but I built them into like spreadsheets or documents or PowerPoint so that we could do them online. So.
Did you say you have a book? Did you say a book?
Yeah, you're going to get 3 chapters to the book because
Okay.
you're awesome, Tiffany. You're going to 3 chapters. And if you want the rest of the book, it's called 50 Digital Team Building Games. It is available on Amazon. It's also online. A lot of libraries notified me too that the book, you can check it out for free sometimes from your library if they have a online edition.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you guys for staying on so long. I appreciate it.
No, this was very helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Cool.
you very much.
Try to make some time to come to the happy hour so I can see some other things in motion.
It's
Hi.
fun, Tiffany. Like this, if I believe, I don't know, the mood might change though. The mood got pretty serious in one of the calls too, but I believe you'll see we're all ready for crying out loud.
Yeah, I got a glass of wine. Well, not yet. I'll have one.
Oh, you're close. I know you're on a different time zone. You're closer than I am. So, okay,
Yeah.
great. So anyways, I got all that information. Hopefully I answered all your questions. I'm going to get you a follow-up email for this. So thank you again all for calling in. Again, the best favor that you can do for me is if you really enjoyed this, please share it with someone else. I have sessions all the way through the 31st, and I highly believe I'm going to extend them mainly because people need this. So, all right.
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Stay
Thanks,
safe.
everyone.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.